self-management isn't this big scary beast. You have to acknowledge that that is where you're going to spend time and money and energy. So is that where you want to be? Is that what you want to be doing? So you touched on some of those big pieces there. How have you seen technology in that space facilitate people to management, just the overarching theme of being able to efficiently manage the properties?
It's huge. It's a game changer. And I think within any industry, technology is a major factor in shaping businesses. But for us in particular, the automations that are out there to help with a lot of what I just mentioned has allowed us to be able to manage north of 200 properties, self-manage north of 200 properties with really one virtual assistant, which we talked about. We'll dive into that in the episode in itself, kind of how all that looks. But for one VA to manage all that is a result of technologies and systems and processes. So stuff from tenants making payments online or in person. A big thing with us is we don't collect any checks, we don't collect any cash, nothing. Everybody has to pay through a system we use called PayLease, where they can either pay online or pay in person. That's a huge help in regards to keeping track of who's paid, keeping track of all the receipts on payment history, things like that. And then just with the management software itself, being able to automate some of the stuff within there about reminders about changing your filter. We have a reminder that goes out every 60 days. Hey, you need to change your filter. Here's the size of the filter. If you need help, submit a maintenance request. We'll come out and we'll show you how to do this. All the way up to lease renewal starting 90 days out. We have reminders that start to go out saying, hey, your lease is starting to come up. Would you like to renew? If you do, click this link or click here and we'll get a new lease sent out to you. So the automation itself has been a game changer. And I think without that automation and technology, it would make things really, really tough to manage. But now with that stuff in place, you have that and you have your boots on the ground. And with those two things, you can manage a pretty decent sized portfolio on your own and with limited experience to begin with.
Yeah. And I think people end up replacing, or technology kind of replaces people, or people replace the technology piece of that. So property management, they don't have some of that software pieces in place. So what do? They just hire a bunch of people, have a high overhead, run at a slim margin, don't pay attention to the properties effectively. And then you're stuck on somebody being reliant to think, oh, there's going to be a tenant that might move out in 90 days, right? And then another reminder in 60, 30, things like that go automatically based on, systems and processes, right?
And I think a big part too is just with self-managing, a big benefit is having that personal relationship with your tenants. When the tenants know that it's the owner that's involved and not a third-party management company, you can set expectations with tenants in regards to your rent is a priority. If something's going on with your health, you take care of your health. But besides that, the roof over your head is your priority. So if you have car payments, credit card payments, and you have a tough month and bills are tight, let's just make sure that your housing payment is the one that takes priority over stuff. So I think tenants really do appreciate just knowing that they're dealing directly with the landlord. It's a more personable relationship. I know with us, when you came out to Omaha one time, and it is after we bought our first set of apartments, you came out, we started self-managing at that time, and we had some interesting run-ins with tenants that were being managed by a third party, and they've been there for years, and they're being managed by a third party the entire time. And then we come in and we make some big changes that were needed, and we're self-managing stuff. And some of the relationships that you build with tenants start to become a little interesting for sure.
Yeah, man. I remember that time out in Omaha. So I had come out for due diligence with us on those apartment deals that we had bought first together, and then came back again to kind of just see everything, see updates, meet with you, all of these things. And we had pulled up to one of our buildings and get out, and then somebody whips in right next to us in Escalade with spinners. He's got spinners on the car, right? And he gets out and you get out and we're kind of, meeting up in the middle here. And you had approached him and you're like, oh man, sweet car, sweet whip. And he's like, thanks, man, just got it. And you're like, so, you chose that over paying rent this month, huh? And he's like, oh man, it's coming. It just, I had this thing. And it's like, so you chose that over paying us rent. And, but having that relationship, being there face to face was not something that third-party property manager ever would have done.
He realized that wasn't acceptable anymore.
100%. Yeah. Guess what he did? Paid rent.
He paid rent.
Yeah.
He realized that his rent payment became more important than his car payment. For a long time, his car payment was way more important than rent.
100%. Well, because we also took his spinners.
Yeah. They looked good on the car.
Hey, they looked great, man. So yeah, they looked good, man. But yeah, I remember that. And I think another piece of this benefit that related to even COVID and self-management, one of the big benefits that we saw was the relationship that we had built with those tenants. Our delinquencies during COVID were minimal. We were running at same levels of behind rent payment, whatever it would be, which is extremely small at this point. Only one or two couple tenants from time to time that we work with. But that was the same during COVID, even after Biden had decided that it was okay for people to just not pay their landlords rent anymore.
Yeah.
And third-party managers, I know for a fact that they were running into challenges across the board of their properties. Hey, is somebody going to pay? You can't evict them. And the answer was no. They had no relationship with them.
Yeah. The relationship aspect was the game changer for us. We both going into it, didn't know what was going on, shit in the fan, and all of a sudden you think worst case scenarios, and like you said, it played out to where the relationship that we had with tenants really was a huge benefit to us, and the delinquencies weren't nearly what we thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
As a game changer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The fact that they passed that in general, or decided that, hey, landlords don't need to get paid, but the bank still needs to get paid, and landlords are these rich, hungry individuals and have all this money to support it, is beyond me. But that's a separate topic, right?
No, it's like, where'd that come from?
Just wild, man. I don't understand how you could do that, during COVID and during that time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, especially in California and certain states. Nebraska wasn't as bad. Nationwide, they had the eviction moratorium where you couldn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. And then after that, certain states had the same thing that carried on for many months after that moratorium was lifted. But yeah, how would they ever expect a landlord to go 4, 5, 6, 7 months without a tenant paying rent, and a landlord can't do anything? There's no mortgage modification.
Yeah.
There's some banks that were offering like deferred payments and whatnot, but majority,
you're still collecting interest. You're still, it's not like, oh, you don't have to actually pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
You're still paying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tagged on it. Yeah.
Most of the landlords out there are just mom and pa that own 1, 2, 5, or whatever it is. And
100%.
Guys, they rely on those rent payments. Everybody, no matter what size you are, you rely on the rent payments to pay your mortgage and to pay other bills. So yeah, like you said, that's another episode for another time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, 100%. But just kind of thought of that as we were going down the path of benefits of self-management, and then COVID, and that was a huge impact for us, huge benefit. So, thinking about that overall structure and where you live today, things like that, do you believe that anybody can self-manage from abroad? And broad could be as far as, different city right next to you, or as far as a different country.
Yeah, great question. It kind of goes back to what you said earlier too about technologies. So yeah, now live in Nebraska part-time, live in Arizona part-time, and being in Arizona, having the right systems and processes and people in place, it's definitely, I can't say it's easy. Things are never easy. It's always a work in progress.
Yeah.
It's definitely manageable. And I think that's a mindset that a lot of people in the beginning think is, oh, it's impossible. I don't live in that state. I don't live close. I can't take care of these tenants like I should be. But in reality, with the technologies that are out there and the right people in place, like a handyman that's on the boots on the ground for you, it's definitely possible, and definitely should be something that people should think about more when they're buying their first rental versus third party. Pros and cons to each. Again, we reviewed them in a different episode and here a little bit too, but it's definitely something that they should think more on the side of, this really is possible, and to make it possible, here's kind of the things that I need to do. And doing that, I think from the get-go, you learn by doing stuff. So you can learn from the beginning,
100%,
and self-manage from the beginning. I think that's a huge benefit to continue to grow your portfolio the right way. So, Bud, you tell me, what's a takeaway from this episode for you?
Ooh.
Besides how good looking I am.
Ooh, that's a hard no.
And how did I look with this fire?
Ooh, also a hard no. I think a couple things. One, just that self-management isn't this big scary beast. You have to acknowledge that is where you're going to spend time and money and energy. So is that where you want to be? Is that what you want to be doing? Even this house that we're in today, right now, this is short-term rental. I could have used third party or manage it myself. I decided to manage myself, and in turn, I spend more time here than if I had just handed off and said, okay, I'm hands off.
Yeah.
Second piece, you're never hands off. Related to that kind of second point is that no matter what, if you go third party management, you still want to very much stay in tune and connected to the property, what they're doing, what's coming out, all the reports, any information, data, everything, and then challenge them, ask for things, really kind of manage the manager.
And the reason why we know why you're saying that is because we've been there and we did not manage the manager, but now we know for sure.
100%. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So how much? 504 in the books.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Peace.